Welcome, sleepy soul. I'm your storyteller tonight, here to help you drift into deep, peaceful sleep. Before we begin, don't forget to like the video and for more bedtime stories. Let me know in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is. And if there's a story you'd like to hear next, I'd love to know that too. I never planned on reading tarot for strangers. It wasn't a life goal or some mysterious calling. Honestly, it started because I was broke, newly single, and living in a cramped basement apartment in the outskirts of Portland, Oregon. Rent was cheap only because the place smelled faintly of mildew. The heater rattled like a dying engine, and the neighbors upstairs sounded like they were in a constant WWE match. Back then, I worked part-time at a local craft store, and even though I liked the job, it didn't pay enough to cover everything. A friend once told me, "You're always good at reading people. You should charge for that." She meant emotionally, but I took it literally. I had a deck from my late grandmother. Nothing mystical, nothing fancy, just 78 worn cards with fading edges. Over time, reading tarot became my side hustle. Not spiritual, not supernatural, just observational. People told me their problems, and I gave them a direction. Most folks are desperate for a voice that tells them things will be okay. I became that voice. My clients were usually tired moms, stressed college kids, middle-aged guys worried about money. They'd sit across from me at my tiny foldable table with the chipped paint and cheap lamp, and they'd leave feeling lighter. And for years, nothing bad ever happened, until he showed up. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me back up, because I need you to understand exactly how normal everything was before things went to hell. It was a chilly Tuesday evening. Rain tapped against the single window in my basement unit, and the air smelled like wet leaves in the old carpet that came with the apartment. I'd just finished reading for a girl named Julia, heartbroken, 22, convinced her ex was her soulmate even though he'd ghosted her after taking her money. "Sweetie, he's not coming back," I told her gently. She cried but thanked me. When she left, I cleaned the table, shuffled the cards a few times, and settled onto my old couch with a microwaved burrito. Life was predictable and honestly kind of boring. That's when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Is your place open for readings tonight?" Me. "Depends." "What time?" Unknown. "Now." I almost said no. Something in the tone felt off. Even through a text, it felt heavy. But I needed the extra cash. Me. "Come to the basement door. Unit B2. I didn't know then that this one message would ruin my sleep for months. Knock, knock, knock. 3 taps. Fast, too precise, too confident. Come in," I called, expecting someone nervous or shy like most walk-ins. But the guy who entered wasn't nervous at all. He stepped inside like he'd already been here before. Tallish, maybe 5'10", early 30s, thin, shoulders slightly hunched like he carried invisible weight. His clothes were damp from the rain, hoodie sticking to him, jeans darkened at the knees. And his eyes, God, his eyes. They never stayed still. They flicked around the room as if tracking something only he could see. "Evening," he said. Voice calm, almost too calm. "Someone told me you help people understand things they can't figure out themselves." Yeah, I said, forcing a smile. "Have a seat. What's your name?" "Call me Reed." Not sure if that was his real name. Didn't sound like one he owned. He pulled a small photo from his pocket. A woman in her 20s, blonde hair, sharp expression, like she'd been annoyed even while posing. "Tell me if she still thinks about me," he said. Classic heartbreak question. I'd seen it 1,000 times. But the way he said it, not broken, not sad, just controlled. Like this wasn't heartbreak but obsession. Still, I did the reading. I laid down the cards. Clear as day. They said she'd moved on, completely. I told him gently. He didn't blink, didn't speak, just stared at the picture, jaw tight, like something behind his eyes was twisting into a knot. "You sure?" he finally asked. "Yeah, I'm sure." He nodded, paid, left. The moment he walked out, the air in the room felt lighter, literally lighter, like someone had been pressing down on the atmosphere, and I should have trusted that feeling, but I didn't. 3 days later, same knock, same fast, sharp rhythm. I opened the door and felt my stomach drop. Reed again, but this time, he brought a different photo, a man, older, wearing a stiff smile like he didn't smile often. "Does he think about me?" Reed asked. That question should have bothered me more than it did. I did the reading anyway. Cards said no. Again. He watched me for a long time. Too long. His eyes didn't blink often. People blink when they think. He didn't. He watched like someone memorizing every twitch on my face. "You always tell the truth?" he asked suddenly. "Yes," I said. "That's literally my job." He nodded slowly, like confirming something in his mind. Then he left. I remember thinking, yeah, he's unstable, but harmless. God, I was stupid. The third time he didn't knock. He just entered. I looked up from the table and he was already inside, dripping water onto the floor. "I need to know, did someone curse me?" he asked, voice tighter now. "No," I said immediately. "Tarot doesn't work like that." "But someone did something," he whispered. "Something's in my house, doors are slamming, lights flicker, something follows me." He leaned in too close. "You did something to me," he said softly. "No," I repeated, backing up. "I'm just a tarot reader, not a witch." He stared, long, hard. Then he walked out without paying. That should have been the end. I should have blocked him, told someone, called the police, but I didn't. And that was my mistake. A week later, I was washing dishes when I felt a prickle on the back of my neck, the kind you get when someone is watching you. I turned, and there he was, standing outside my tiny basement window, leaning down to look inside, face inches from the glass. I froze. I wanted to scream, but nothing came out. I stepped toward the window slowly, hands shaking. "Reed?" I whispered. He didn't move. His eyes were wide, unblinking, staring at me like I was a puzzle he needed to break open. I reached for my phone. The moment he saw that movement, he disappeared from the window. I ran to the door, but before I could lock it, he shoved it open. Hard. The chain caught, jerking the door to a stop, but the force cracked the wooden frame. "You did something to me," he said again, voice cold. "Tell me how to undo it." "I didn't do anything," I yelled, pushing the door with all my strength. He shoved back once, hard enough to make the whole door tremble. Then suddenly he stopped. His breathing slowed. His face went blank. And he walked away. I called my friend, who stayed on the phone with me until morning. I didn't sleep, not even a minute. And things only got worse. 2 days later, a strange smell started filling the apartment. Sweet, damp, heavy, like something had been sealed away for months and then opened. I cleaned everything. Bleach, air freshener, windows open. Nothing worked. Then came the scratching sound. Slow. Metal against concrete. I crept to the peephole. Nothing. But the mailbox flap was open. I decided to check it in the morning. Big mistake. Sunlight made me feel a little braver, so I walked to the mailbox. Opened it. Inside was a small rubber-banded lock of human hair. Black, short, men's hair. My knees nearly gave out. I backed away from the box like it was alive. I texted my friend, "Call the cops now." Before I could explain, I felt something, a presence, a coldness behind me. I spun around. No one was there. But the wind carried that same sweet, rotten smell. I spent the next night on my couch, knife in hand, lights on, heart pounding. Around 2 a.m., the air went still. So still, it felt like the world had stopped breathing. Then, boom, boom, boom. Someone slammed the door. Before I could get up, the door burst open, wood splintering like it was nothing. Reed stepped inside, eyes wild, face pale, a crowbar in one hand, something wrapped in a cloth in the other. "You put it inside me," he screamed. "You opened the door. Now it's your turn." I tried to grab the knife, but he lunged, twisting my wrist until it fell. I screamed, kicked, ran. I grabbed a lamp and smashed it against his forehead. He stumbled, bleeding. I sprinted out the back door barefoot into the cold night air. "Help!" I screamed. "Someone help me!" People turned. Then they saw him running after me. Crowbar raised, eyes insane, blood on his face. "Yo, stop that dude!" someone yelled. 2 men tackled him to the ground. Another kicked the crowbar away. He fought like a trapped animal, screaming nonsense. "She cursed me. She opened it. She put it in me. She knows how to stop it." Police sirens echoed through the street moments later. They hauled him away, still screaming. They told me he was delusional, paranoid, dangerous. I didn't care about the explanation. All I cared about was getting away. I moved to another state, got a remote job as a virtual assistant, stopped reading tarot completely. It's been months. I sleep with the lights on, every night. No exceptions. And yet, some nights, just as I'm about to fall asleep, I smell it. That same sweet, wet, rotten scent. Faint at first, then stronger, like something invisible just stepped into the room. And I swear, sometimes I hear a whisper behind me. "You opened the door." I don't turn around. I don't want to know what's standing there. I never thought a single day could rearrange my entire life, and my nerves, my habits, my sense of safety, everything. All in ways I still struggle to explain. I'm telling you this now because keeping it inside feels like swallowing glass. And maybe if I say it out loud, someone will finally believe me. People think horror is some creepy figure in the hallway, or shadows moving under your bed. But real horror is when someone living, someone breathing, decides that your life belongs to them. That your space, your body, your fear, is something they're entitled to. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start with the beginning, because the beginning matters. I grew up in Hillsworth, a quiet little town in Oregon where we had more pine trees than people, and where everyone somehow knew your grandmother's dentist's cousin. Life there was predictable, almost boring. Some folks here say, boring is safe. And honestly, I used to agree. My name is Jenna Larson. And the day this happened was supposed to be one of the most normal, boring, forgettable days of my life. The first day of senior year. I wasn't feeling well that morning. I'd been dealing with these awful stomach cramps for days, and my mom insisted I stop by Cedar Ridge Urgent Care before school. "You good to go?" my mom asked as she drove me to school, her hair in that messy bun she always made when she worked night shifts. "Yeah, I'm fine," I lied. "Text me if it gets worse," she said. "I mean it. I will." I didn't. I never do. I've always hated worrying her. By the time I got to school, I was already late. The halls were half empty, lockers slamming shut as people rushed to class. I walked into room 204, English Lit, trying to melt into the room like I always do. But then, right away, I realized something was off. 2 boys I'd never seen before sat in the far corner next to the windows, leaning in toward each other like they were sharing secrets. I didn't pay them attention at first. New kids showed up all the time. Hillsworth wasn't that small. But when I passed them, the way their eyes followed me felt wrong. Not curious, not confused. Studying, measuring, evaluating. Their names, I later learned, were Caleb and Brent. I sat in my usual seat by the aisle. The room was quiet until the bell rang, and then the teacher began lecturing, but I couldn't focus. I felt eyes on me, heavy, unblinking. You know the feeling when someone stares at you so long the air around you starts to pulse? That was it. A pressure behind my ribs. I tried ignoring it, but then I accidentally overheard them. Not because I tried, but because they weren't whispering. Not really. "Dude, that's a girl," Brent said with this ugly scoff in his voice. "Bro, I don't know, are you sure?" Caleb replied. Could be either. Look at the haircut, Brent said. Bet she gets called sir at Walmart. I froze. My ears burned. I wasn't ashamed of how I looked. Short hair, plaid shirt, layered bracelets. People sometimes mistook me for a guy at quick glance, but nobody ever said it like that. Like a weapon. Like they were trying to hit me where it hurt. My best friend Aria, sitting behind them, caught my eye. She mouthed, "Don't listen to them." But her expression, tight jaw, clenched hands, told me she'd heard every word. Still, I pushed it aside. You learn to shrug off dumb teenage crap after years in high school. Little did I know that those stupid comments were the tiniest part of what was coming. By the end of the day, exhaustion weighed on me. Between the cramps, the whispering, and being stared at like a zoo exhibit, all I wanted was to sit on the bus, get home, and collapse. But Mom texted me. "Mom, going to check on Uncle Ray at the hospital. You'll be home alone tonight. Leave a light on, okay?" I texted back a thumbs up and shoved my phone into my backpack. The bus dropped me off 2 blocks from my house. Hillsworth buses never actually stop at your place, even though there's no traffic and no reason. Policy, they always say. I walked along Fairline Street, where the houses sat far apart and the street lamps flickered like they were powered by ghosts instead of electricity. The sun was low. The sky had that pink haze that makes everything feel unreal. Then I turned onto Brook Hollow Lane, a narrow side street I used almost every day. That's when it happened. A hand, out of nowhere, clamped around my arm, hard. I didn't even have time to scream. I got yanked backward, my shoulder slamming into the wall of an old abandoned garage. My breath left my body in a single punch of panic. I looked up, and my stomach dropped. Caleb, one of the boys from class. He was way too close. Close enough for me to see the tiny scar on his left cheek and the way his pupils were blown wide like he was running on adrenaline, or something darker. "What the hell?" I gasped, trying to pull away. He didn't let go. Then, before I could blink, he leaned in and kissed me. Not gently, not affectionately, not anything normal. It felt like an act of ownership, like he was testing something, seeing if he could get away with it. I shoved him back with all my strength. "What is wrong with you?" I yelled. He stared at me, breathing hard. "Why are you acting like that?" he said. "You didn't like it?" His tone was flat, dead, as if my reaction meant nothing. "I don't even know you," I said. "Back off, seriously." His expression twisted. Anger, surprise, something feral flickering in his eyes. "Whatever," he muttered. "You'll get over it." And then, he walked away. Just strolled into the dim street like nothing had happened. I stood there shaking, heart pounding like a siren in my chest. I should have called someone. My mom, Aria, anybody. But fear does stupid things to your brain. I just hurried home, locked the door, and tried to pretend I was fine. I wasn't. By the time I showered and changed into pajamas, the sky was pitch black. The house felt colder than usual. But that's what happens when you grow up poor and turn the thermostat down to save on bills. I made myself mac and cheese, fed my hamster pickles, then crashed on my bed with my laptop. I kept replaying it. The alley, the kiss, his voice. It crawled under my skin like splinters. Hours passed. Midnight crept closer. I must have drifted off at some point because the next thing I remember is waking up to a sound. A breathing sound. Heavy. Slow. Too close. I jolted upright. My room was dark except for the faint glow from the streetlight outside, and the window near my desk was cracked open. I swear on everything, I remember closing that window. I always do, especially when I'm home alone. Then I saw it. A silhouette in the corner, near the window, tall, still. My mind tried to convince me it was my coat rack, a shadow, my imagination. But then it moved, and stepped forward, and the faint light outside caught his face. Caleb, standing inside my bedroom, inside my house. inside my space. My throat constricted. I tried to scream, but only a choked sound came out. "Hey," he whispered, like he was greeting me in the hallway, not committing a felony. What are you doing here?" I stuttered. He tilted his head. "Wanted to see you," he said. "You left earlier, didn't finish talking." I froze. Ice ran down my spine. "Get out," I whispered. "Get out of my house right now." He took a step closer, slow, deliberate. "You don't have to freak out," he said. "I'm not going to hurt you, not unless you make me." Something in my body snapped awake. Survival instinct. I grabbed the lamp on my nightstand and swung it. He ducked, not fast, not frantic, calmly, like he expected it. He lunged for me, grabbing my wrist, but at that exact second, my phone lit up on the bed. It buzzed with an incoming call. "Dad." Caleb's head snapped toward the screen, his eyes flashing with something. Anger? Fear? Calculation? Then he hissed, "You're crazy," and turned, crawling back out through the window like some kind of nightmare creature. I scrambled to the window and shoved it shut, locking it, my breath coming in sharp gasps. The call ended by the time I grabbed my phone. My hands shook so badly I almost dropped it. I called him back immediately. "Dad, please pick up." He answered groggily. "Jenna, it's late. Everything okay?" "No," I whispered. Someone was in my room. Silence. Then, "I'm coming home right now. Lock every door. Don't move." I obeyed, checking every window, every room, even the basement. My house suddenly felt like a maze with too many dark corners. When Dad finally burst through the front door 20 minutes later, I collapsed into his arms. We called the police. They searched the property, found footprints under my window, but nothing else. The officers told me the same thing they tell every terrified girl. "We'll file a report. Hopefully it doesn't happen again." Hopefully, hopefully, hopefully. Hope doesn't keep people out of your bedroom. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't sleep the next night either. And Caleb? He never came back to school. Not once. Not ever. It's like he vanished. Some nights I still wake up thinking I hear breathing. Some nights I swear I see a shadow near the window. I got new locks, I changed rooms. Dad installed cameras. But fear doesn't care about locks. Fear lives in your bones. And that night, the night he stepped through my window, it never left me. I don't usually talk about this. Not to my family, not to my husband, not to the sheriff who still stops by every now and then to check how we're holding up. But I guess there comes a point where a story like this stops feeling like a memory and starts feeling like poison you need to spit out. So here it is. My full confession. What happened on that long strip of broken Oklahoma highway, and how a simple act of kindness almost cost me my life. I'm Ray Holloway, 41 years old, born in Tulare, California, but I've been living in rural Oklahoma for the last 9 years, far away from the noise, the crowds, the damn city chaos I used to drown in. My husband, Jared, is a ranchman inside and out, boots on before sunrise, the kind of guy who knows every sound cattle can make and what it means. We don't have kids, not because we didn't want them, but because life didn't play ball with us. A few miscarriages over the years, and then we stopped trying. The ranch became our whole world. It's peaceful, quiet, and if you drive from our place to the nearest supermarket, it's a straight hour of nothing but heat haze, telephone poles, and open land. We used to joke that God forgot to install neighbors within a 10-mile radius. I liked it that way. At least, I thought I did. That morning, I left around 10:15 a.m. Jared leaned into the window as I started the engine. "You good on gas?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. And I left a casserole in the fridge. Don't let the dogs get into it. Those damn dogs run this house, not me. We laughed. It was normal. Routine. I had no clue that 30 minutes later I'd be fighting for my life. The road to town, Red Glen, a small place with one Walmart and 2 diners, was empty as ever. The sun was already high. Heat shimmered above the asphalt like ghosts trying to rise. About halfway there, I saw them. A boy and a girl walking along the shoulder, backpacks on, heads down, clothes dusty as hell. At first, I didn't think much of it. Hitchhikers weren't rare on old farm routes. But something about the girl, she was practically limping, made me slow down a little. And God help me. I stopped. I pulled over about 30 yards ahead of them and rolled my window down. The guy was tall, wiry, maybe mid-20s. Patchy beard, sunburnt nose, wearing a faded army surplus jacket even though it was easily 90 degrees. The girl looked younger, early 20s maybe, skin pale, hair plastered to her forehead with sweat. "You folks all right?" I asked. The guy nodded quickly, too quickly. "Yeah, ma'am. Just trying to get into town. You headed that way?" I hesitated. Every true crime documentary I'd ever seen flickered through my mind. The girl coughed, a dry, miserable sound. "Please," she whispered, "just need a ride." Something in that voice broke my resolve. I unlocked the door. "All right, get in. AC's on." The girl climbed into the back seat, sinking into it like her bones weighed 100 pounds. The guy slid into the passenger seat. "Thank you," he said. "Name's Cole. That's Tessa." "I'm Ray." "Bless you, Ray," Tessa murmured from behind me, and for a minute, everything felt normal. We drove. We made small talk. Just 3 people in a car on a lonely Oklahoma road. Then it happened. We'd been driving maybe 4 minutes when Cole suddenly grabbed the handbrake, yanking it up so hard the car jolted sideways. "What the?" He pulled out a knife. Not a pocket knife, a full 6-inch hunting blade. My stomach dropped clear through the floor. "Hands off the wheel," he said quietly. Too quietly. "And don't make me repeat myself, lady." I froze. Tessa leaned forward from the back, something thin and rough grazing the back of my neck. A rope. She looped it before I could even speak. "You think you're brave?" she hissed. "Try something. See how fast you die." My brain shut down. Everything went into automatic survival mode. Cole pressed the blade to my throat. The metal was cold. His breath wasn't. "You get out," he said. "Now." I didn't move. In that moment, I swear something in me snapped. I don't know if it was anger, fear, trauma, or just that mule-headed Holloway stubbornness. But instead of obeying, I stayed right where I was. He blinked. He didn't expect that. Tessa tightened the rope until stars exploded behind my eyes. "Do it!" she screamed at him. "Shut up!" he yelled back. "Just shut up, Tess. I know what I'm doing." But he didn't. He absolutely didn't. They weren't partners. Not in the way you think. They were chaos wrapped in skin. Tessa shoved me sideways and pulled me into the back seat with her. "Cut her if she moves," she snarled, handing Cole the knife like she was passing snacks. Then she crawled into the driver's seat and floored it. I pressed myself into the corner of the back seat, swallowing down tears, blood, and pure terror. Cole sat twisted toward me, knife shaking slightly in his grip. "You don't gotta do this," I whispered. "Shut up. You look scared too. You don't want this." He shut his eyes for a moment, just a second. But I saw it. Doubt. Tessa didn't have any. "Hey," she shouted over the wind. "Don't listen to her. People like her, they're all the same. They think they're better. They think they can just drive past like we're trash." "I didn't drive past," I said. "I stopped." She laughed, a harsh, cracked sound. "And look where that got you." The car barreled down the highway at over 70. I watched the blurred landscape, counting seconds, waiting for any opening, any miracle. My chest felt like it was being squeezed in a vice. "You married?" Cole suddenly asked. "Yeah." He shook his head. "Shit. Shame." "What does that mean?" Tessa cut in before he could answer. "Means shut the hell up." They started arguing. About me, about money, about what use I could be. Every second made their instability clearer and more dangerous. We were 7 miles from Red Glen when we reached the four-way intersection. A few trucks were waiting at the light, engines idling. Civilization, witnesses, salvation. Or so I thought. Cole's breathing got fast, panicked. "Too many people here," he muttered. "Just keep driving," Tessa said. No. We gotta ditch her, she's a problem. We should have done it already." He hit the brakes hard. Tessa slammed her hands on the dashboard. "What are you doing?" "You looking at me like that?" He snapped. They locked eyes. Just a second. Enough to ignite World War III. Cole lunged over the console and grabbed her hair. She punched him in the jaw. The knife clattered to the floor. This was it. My only chance. I threw myself toward the door, slammed it open, and tumbled onto the asphalt. Tessa screamed. They both stopped fighting. "She's running." I wasn't running. I was crawling, half-conscious, but survival adrenaline pushed me farther. Then, Tessa tackled me. We hit the pavement so hard the breath flew out of my lungs. Cars honked. People shouted. Tessa went feral. She clawed my face, hit me with the side of her fist, grabbed my hair and smashed my head against the ground. Cole drove off. Just drove away. Didn't even look back. Tessa saw it, and something snapped in her. She shrieked, "You left me, you son of a..." then turned that rage onto me. She wouldn't stop. I felt warm blood running down my cheek. Screams blurred into a ringing in my ears. Then suddenly, hands pulled her off me. A man in a flannel shirt. A woman yelling, "Get her arms, she's biting." People pouring out of their cars. Tessa writhed like something possessed. Then the sheriff's cruiser arrived. Deputy Lawson slammed her onto the pavement and cuffed her while she howled. I remember none of the ride to the hospital, just waking up to Jared's face streaked with tears. I had 17 stitches, a cracked cheekbone, rope burns, a concussion, and nightmares that still haven't gone away. 2 weeks later, they found my car in Missouri. Cole was inside. He didn't resist, didn't apologize, didn't speak at all, just stared at the ground like a scared kid who finally got caught doing something unforgivable. Turns out they weren't siblings, weren't partners, weren't anything. They'd met 3 days earlier at a bus station. Two broken people who made each other worse. They had no plan, no motive, just chaos. And I collided with it. People ask why I picked them up, why I stopped. And the truth is, I don't know. I saw a girl limping in the heat and thought, if she were my sister, I'd want someone to help her. But good intentions don't make you safe. Now, when I'm on that same road and see someone walking in the sun, I grip the wheel tighter. I don't slow down. I keep driving even when my heart twists with guilt. Because the truth hurts. Kindness can get you killed. And I'm not ready to die trying to prove otherwise. Maybe that makes me a coward. Maybe that makes me selfish. But I'm alive, and that has to count for something. I don't know if anyone will believe me, but I'm finally ready to tell the real reason why I can't use elevators anymore. People think it's just anxiety or claustrophobia, but nah, it's deeper than that, way deeper. Even now, sitting in my living room with every light on, I feel that same tight pressure in my chest, the one I used to feel whenever those elevator doors slid shut. I'm 36 now, but this happened when I was 17. Back then, I was living with my mom in a low-rise apartment complex in Springfield, Ohio, nothing fancy. The kind of place where the walls were thin, the neighbors fought loud, and the laundry room smelled like mildew 24/7. But it was home, and that building, it had this old, cranky elevator. The kind where the lights flickered if you breathed too close to the panel. Nobody trusted it, but everyone still used it because the stairwell always smelled like piss. At that age, elevators didn't scare me at all. I'd never had a reason to be scared. I wish I still didn't. I was a normal kid, played basketball after school, hung out at the corner store eating cheap pizza slices and drinking soda, argued with my mom about homework, the usual. The night everything changed. We had just finished a scrimmage at school. Rain clouds were building up all afternoon, but we pushed through the game anyway. I remember telling my friend Landon, "Bro, if it rains, rains. Coach ain't gonna cancel over this weak-ass weather." He laughed and said, "You're gonna jinx us, man. Watch. Tornado gonna touch down just 'cause you opened your mouth." Typical teenage nonsense. We played anyway and made it back before the sky broke open. Everything was normal. Everything felt normal. I wish I could go back to that version of me, the kid who didn't know what real fear felt like. I got home maybe around 6:40 p.m. My backpack was soaked from where the humidity settled in, and all I wanted was a shower and something hot to eat. As soon as I walked into the building lobby, I heard the elevator grinding its way down from the upper floors. Perfect timing, I thought. I pressed the button. No hesitation. The doors opened, and I stepped inside. I hit 5 for our floor. But before the doors fully closed, that's when it happened. Something, or rather someone, moved outside the elevator, just in my peripheral vision. At first I thought it was a neighbor, but the figure didn't move like any normal person. Tall, bony, clothes too big for his body but somehow stretched tight at the wrong places. Skin that looked grayish, like he hadn't seen sunlight in months. And the smell, Jesus, like rotting sweat mixed with stale garbage. It hit me so fast my stomach curled. He didn't blink. He didn't flinch. Just stared at me like he was looking straight through my skin. I tried looking away, tried pretending I didn't see him, but as the doors shut, his head tilted like a broken puppet. And he smiled. Not a friendly smile. Not even a creepy smile. It was worse, like he was savoring something only he could see. The doors slid shut completely, and I swear to God, I heard him whisper something. Something like, "Don't run." My breath caught in my throat, but the elevator kept moving. For 5 seconds, I told myself, "You're imagining things. Stop being a punk. Dude's probably just weird." But my body knew better. My body was already shaking. I got to our floor, stepped out fast, and didn't even look back. Sprinted down the hall and locked the door behind me. My mom called from the kitchen. "That you, baby?" "Yeah," I said, trying not to sound freaked out. "You good? You look like you saw a damn ghost." "Nah, just tired." She squinted at me. "You better not be skipping dinner again." I forced a laugh. Anything to act normal. Later that night, after showering and distracting myself with video games, Mom reminded me, "We're out of milk. Run to the store real quick before it closes." I didn't want to go back downstairs. Didn't want to see that lobby. Didn't want to risk seeing him. But what was I gonna say? "No, Mom, I'm scared of the elevator now because some corpse-looking dude smiled at me weird." So I went. I took the stairs down just in case. Bought the milk. Walked back. Everything felt fine. Until I stepped into the lobby again. The elevator dinged open before I even touched the button. Empty. No one around. I thought, okay, just go. Don't overthink it. I stepped inside. Pressed 3, we lived on 5. But I had to drop something at our storage unit first. Leaned on the wall. The elevator started moving. I exhaled. But then, it stopped at floor 2. Doors slid open. Nobody there. No footsteps. No voices. No movement in the hallway. It stayed open longer than usual. Way longer. "Close, close, close, man," I whispered. And just when the doors finally started sliding shut, something jerked forward from the right side. A body. A towering, jerking shadow of a man stepped halfway into the elevator. It was him. The same man. But this time, closer. Much closer. He didn't step in fully. Didn't even look directly at me. He just stood there, as the elevator doors closed on him. Like he wanted to be trapped in there with me, but not yet. My knees went weak. My throat dried out. But the elevator kept going. I told myself, it's okay. It's just a coincidence. Just a weird dude in the building. But the dread, it sat heavy, like someone pressing on my chest. I reached the 3rd floor. Doors opened. Silence. Empty hallway. I stepped out fast, but something felt off. The lights in the hallway flickered in a way I'd never seen before, like someone or something was messing with the wiring. On my way back to the elevator to go up to 5, I paused. Part of me screamed, "Take the stairs," but my hands were full, and I was tired. Fine. One more ride. One more. I stepped inside, hit 5. The elevator jerked. Lights dimmed red. Then, bam. It stopped. Right between floors 3 and 4. Total silence. Then, a slow hum, like static crawling across metal. I felt the hair on my arms rise. The lights flickered, and then went fully red. "What the hell?" I whispered. Then I wasn't alone. In the reflection of the elevator's metal panel, I saw a shape behind me. Tall, crooked, breathing fast, so fast the sound filled the whole elevator. I turned around. He was inches from me, not standing, not leaning, but vibrating, like every muscle in his body was twitching at once. His eyes wide, bulging, bloodshot. His smile unnatural, stretched so far it looked painful. His breath sharp, raspy, animalistic. What do you want?" I whispered. His head jerked violently, cracking to the side like bone snapping. Then he whispered in this broken voice, "You left too soon. I don't know you, man, back off." He didn't. He stepped closer. I pressed myself into the corner, chest caving in, tears stinging my eyes. His hand rose bony fingers, nails jagged like he'd been clawing walls. He placed them on my cheek. Cold. So cold it burned. And then, he lunged. He yanked me down by my shirt and slammed me into the corner. His fingers dug into my skin, ripping, scraping, tearing. I screamed, "Stop, get off me." He clawed at my arms, my neck, my shoulders. Wild, mindless, animalistic. The smell of rot filled my nose so hard I gagged. "I can't, please stop," I sobbed. He wasn't listening. His eyes, God, those eyes, they weren't human anymore. He kept whispering, You didn't wait for me." I kicked, punched, shoved, but he was too strong. Or maybe adrenaline made everything feel unreal. My head hit the metal wall hard. Stars flashed. His nails dug into my face, my chest. I felt blood running. I screamed again. Screamed until my throat tore. Then, the lights snapped bright. The elevator lurched upward. The man froze, twisted his neck, stared up at the ceiling, and then, the doors burst open. I don't remember hitting the ground outside the elevator. I just remember boots, voices, hands pulling me away. "Kid, stay with me." Where the hell did he come from? "He's unstable, get restraints." Everything got blurry. I heard a struggle, men yelling, a taser cracking, then silence. My world faded. I woke up hours later with bandages everywhere. A cop sat by the door. When he noticed I was awake, he sighed. "Kid, you're lucky to be alive." My voice shook. Who was that guy?" The officer looked uncomfortable. "He's not a tenant here. He's not a visitor. He's not supposed to be anywhere, honestly." My blood ran cold. "What do you mean?" He hesitated, then said, "He escaped from a mental facility 2 miles away during a blackout. He killed 2 people before we tracked him here." My heart dropped. The officer continued. "He admitted he followed you into the building hours earlier. Said you looked familiar. Said you should have waited for him. Whatever the hell that means." I cried. Couldn't help it. The officer added quietly, "The elevator was shut down temporarily because we suspected he was inside the building. Maintenance locked it. But," he swallowed hard, "but the elevator moved anyway." My breath stopped. "It shouldn't have," he whispered. "Not without power, not without control, not without anyone entering the system." "What?" I whispered. He stood up, voice low. "Kid, that man was found unconscious on the elevator floor when we pulled you out. But the footage doesn't show him getting in." My stomach turned. "There were no cameras in the elevator," he said. "Only in the hallway. And the hallway footage, it shows you screaming and bleeding, alone." No, he was there. "I believe you," he said. But the camera doesn't. He walked toward the door. "One more thing," he said without turning around. When we restrained him, he kept asking for you. I never took that elevator again. Never took any elevator. Even today, 2 decades later, I'll climb 15 flights of stairs before stepping into one. Sometimes, when I pass an elevator, I swear I smell him. That same rotting stench. Sometimes I hear faint breathing behind the metal doors. Fast, panicked, desperate. And once, just once, at a hotel in Chicago, I was walking past the elevators when the doors slid open on their own. No one inside, just the faintest voice. "You left too soon." I ran like hell. Asterisk, asterisk, I don't think he ever left that elevator. I think part of him is still in there, waiting, watching, searching, asterisk, asterisk. And sometimes, when the lights flicker red, I know he's close. I never imagined that one stupid decision I made at 19 would still crawl under my skin 6 years later. But here I am, shaking even now while telling you this. Because every time I close my eyes, I still see that damn face pressed against the crack of the stall door. And I swear to God, sometimes I still feel like he followed me home that night. Let me back up. It was June of 2018. The kind of early summer heat where the asphalt looks like it's breathing. I had just finished my sophomore year at Northern Ridge University, and my head was fried from back-to-back finals. I'm talking no sleep, energy drinks for breakfast, ramen for dinner, zero sanity. My roommate at the time, Janelle, told me, "Girl, you need a day out. You're walking around like you're gonna punch a squirrel." She wasn't wrong. I needed space, silence, a road that didn't lead to a classroom or a crappy dorm filled with loud freshmen who discovered drinking for the first time. So I planned a 1-day solo road trip to clear my head. I'd never done a long solo drive before, but I figured how bad could it be? The plan was simple. Leave early morning, visit Canyon Ridge Lookout, explore a small historic town nearby, grab dinner, drive home by night. Cheap, simple, no hotel fees. Perfect for a broke college kid. If only I knew. If only I knew what was waiting for me on the way back. I left around 7 a.m. in my old beat-up Honda CR-V, the one that sounded like it was coughing every time I accelerated. I blasted music, drank gas station iced coffee, vibed the whole way. Honestly, that morning felt peaceful, like the world was finally giving me a break. Canyon Ridge Lookout was stunning windy cliffs, big open skies, those tall pine trees that whisper when the breeze hits them. I stayed longer than I planned, took pictures, sat on a bench, let the silence unpack my brain. By evening, I hit the little town. I had dinner at a tiny diner called Sandy's Place where an older waitress called me on every 5 seconds. It was comforting. Time flew. Before I knew it, it was past 9 p.m. I should have left earlier. God, I should have left earlier. But 19-year-old me just shrugged. Whatever. 4-hour drive. No big deal. I'll be home by 1. Yeah, right. The first hour was fine. High beams, empty highway. The kind of quiet you only get between small towns. But around midnight, the fatigue hit hard. My eyes felt hot, heavy, like I was blinking in slow motion. I slapped myself. I turned the AC up. I rolled the window down. Nothing worked. At one point I muttered to myself, "Okay, this is stupid. I'm gonna crash if I keep going." I promised myself that the next rest stop I saw, I'd pull over and nap for an hour. Just 60 minutes. Enough to survive the drive. A few miles later, I saw a sign glowing in the dark. Rest area 1 mile. Perfect. Or so I thought. The place looked dead. Not dying. Dead. A few dim lamps lit the parking lot. No cars, no trucks, not even a stray raccoon. Just stillness. Every instinct in me whispered, "Don't stop here. Keep driving." But my eyelids were like lead weights. I couldn't risk falling asleep on the road. So I parked, locked the doors, leaned the seat back, set a timer for 1 hour, and knocked out faster than I expected. When my alarm rang, it felt like 5 seconds had passed. And Of course, my bladder betrayed me. Damn it, okay, fine. In and out. The building wasn't far, just a short walk across the lot. But as soon as I stepped inside, I felt it. That weird, heavy silence you get in abandoned places. Except this place wasn't abandoned, right? The air smelled like bleach and something metallic underneath. I found the women's restroom. Stall second from the left. I shut the door. Hung my small bag on the hook. Everything was normal. Until it wasn't. 30 seconds in, I heard footsteps. Slow. Dragging. And then a voice deep, raspy right outside the bathroom, talking to itself. She's here. Yeah, she's here. My heart dropped. Because no one else had been in the parking lot. Nobody. I froze. Maybe it was just my paranoia? Maybe. Then the bathroom door creaked open. I held my breath. Boot steps entered. Heavy. Uneven. They stopped right in front of my stall. A soft knock. Tap. 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 I swallowed and said the most awkward sentence ever. Someone's in here. Silence. Total silence. No footsteps leaving. No door opening. Just stillness. My palms went sweaty. I wiped them on my jeans. Dude, go away, I whispered. Then, slowly, an eye slid into the thin gap of the stall door. Wide, bloodshot, staring straight at me. He whispered, almost lovingly, "Found you." Before I could scream, he began slamming his forehead into the stall door. Bang, bang, bang. The metal shook violently. His voice turned into guttural screams, animalistic, like he wasn't even human. He kept smashing his head so hard I was shocked his skull didn't crack. I backed away till I hit the toilet tank, whispering, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God." Bang, bang. The lock rattled. He giggled. Actually giggled. "Open it, open it." I snapped. Pure adrenaline took over. I threw my shoulder into the door harder than I ever thought I could. The door flew open and smacked him square in the face. He dropped like a sack of potatoes. I sprinted. I ran down the hallway and burst out of the building. Behind me, the door slammed open. His footsteps, fast, heavy, came after me. He growled something I couldn't understand. I ran faster than I've ever run in my life. "Come on. Come on." I screamed at myself as I dug through my bag for keys. I reached my car, unlocked it with shaking hands, threw myself inside and slammed the door. Just as I hit the ignition, his body crashed against the driver's side door, so hard the whole car rocked. He pressed his face against the window, smile smeared with blood from where the door hit him. "Don't leave. Don't leave yet." I reversed. He stumbled but didn't fall. I sped out of the lot. In the rearview mirror, I saw him standing perfectly still, watching me drive away, not moving an inch, like a damn statue. I drove at least 20 miles over the speed limit. No music, no talking, no blinking, just shaking. Every few seconds I checked the mirrors, certain I'd see a car behind me, or a person, or him, but the highway stayed empty. Still, something felt wrong, like he had crawled into the car with me, like he was sitting in the back seat, breathing softly. I kept whispering, "Please, just let me get home. Please." Every shadow looked like him. Every sign looked like a person waiting. I didn't stop again. Not for water. Not for air. Not even when my hands cramped around the steering wheel. I didn't stop until I pulled into my driveway at 3:47 a.m. You'd think getting home would make things better. It didn't. Because the moment I got out of the car, I felt it. Someone watching me. The yard was empty. The street was empty. But I felt eyes. I ran into my house, locked everything, double-checked the windows, and sat on the floor shaking. For weeks, I couldn't sleep. Anytime I closed my eyes, I saw that bloodshot gaze through the crack of the door. I had nightmares of him under my car, behind trees, standing outside the bathroom stall again. And the worst one, standing in my hallway at night saying, "Found you." For months, I refused to stop at rest areas. Honestly, I still don't. And before you assume he was just a random homeless guy, let me add something. About 3 days later, I found something on my windshield. A small smear of dried blood. One fingerprint. A single word written underneath on a scrap of paper. Run. I showed it to the police, but they shrugged it off. But I know what I felt that night. I know what I saw. And I know someone else was there. Someone who wasn't supposed to be. Someone who knew I'd be alone. Someone who wanted me. Someone who still might. Because sometimes late at night, when I park my car after work, I still see a figure standing under the streetlight at the end of my block. Not moving. Not walking. Just watching. And every time I take a second look, he's gone. But I know he was there. I know he's still out there. And I know he never stopped looking for me. I always thought I was the kind of guy who could talk his way out of anything. Smooth talker, fast thinker, the type who believed rules were more like suggestions, bendable, negotiable, never final. Back home in Ridgeford, people used to say I was slick, and not always in the good way. My mom would roll her eyes and say, "Aiden, you keep playing life like a damn casino. One day the house is gonna collect." I used to laugh that off. I'm not laughing anymore. Not in here. Not in Cedar Ridge Correctional. Not in this concrete box, where even silence sounds like it's watching you. But before I tell you what happened in this place, I should probably tell you how I landed here, how a single choice, one stupid night, turned into a confession I never wanted to make. I wasn't some villain. At least, I didn't start as one. I had a job most people would kill for lead systems analyst at Northwood Tech Solutions, a mid-sized cybersecurity firm in Portland. Fancy badge, comfortable salary, free coffee, ping pong tables, everything you see in those startup ads with the fake smiling people. My life wasn't glamorous. I had a tiny apartment off Jefferson Street, a rusted silver Tacoma with a check engine light that loved nagging me, and a habit of eating gas station burritos at 2 a.m. But I had ambition, too much of it. And then came the vulnerability. I found it by accident, a gateway buried so deep in the archives folder structure that no one else had touched it in years. A flaw so big it made my pulse spike. Anyone who slipped through it could access client data, prototypes, contracts, hell, entire negotiation, threads with government partners. It was the kind of flaw that made people rich, filthy rich. At first, I did what any good employee should do. I documented it, filed a quick internal report note, and planned to bring it up during the weekly audit. But then something small and stupid changed me. One night, I overheard two senior managers talking in the break room. They had no idea I was there, tucked behind the vending machines fixing a network cable. "Yeah, Aiden noticed the system freeze first," one manager said. "He's sharp." "Sharp," the other snorted. "Kids replaceable." They all are. Replaceable. That word stabbed deeper than it had any right to. Maybe that's when ego stepped in. Maybe greed. Maybe anger. Maybe all three. I wish I could tell you I thought it through. I didn't. For weeks, I worked the flaw like it was a puzzle only I could solve. I encrypted everything, wrote scripts from scratch, erased logs, tested activity spikes at off hours. Every step felt like a thrill, like standing on the edge of a skyscraper with the wind at your back. And then came the night, the stupid night, when I plugged in the drive. It was 2:17 a.m., office empty, fluorescent lights buzzing like dying insects. When I executed the script and saw the data flowing, lines and lines of company secrets copying into my drive, I felt invincible. My heart pounded. My palms shook. I swear I could hear my pulse in my teeth. "This is it," I whispered. "This is the moment everything changes." God, how wrong I was. I didn't know Liam Harker had noticed. He was this quiet guy from data recovery, didn't talk much, always wore headphones. If you mentioned sports, he'd perk up like a puppy. Otherwise, he was a ghost. Apparently, I wasn't as invisible as I thought. He reported my weird behavior to security, a few late-night entries, some strange terminal logs he spotted during a routine check. And that was it. That was enough. Hours after my heist, I woke up in my apartment to fists pounding on my door. "Portland PD, open up." I didn't even have time to unplug the drive. They stormed in, guns drawn. I remember shouting, "It's not what it looks like," which is the dumbest thing anyone can say in that situation. I remember the cold metal handcuffs. I remember the look the detective gave me, this disappointed, almost sad expression that felt worse than anger. Evidence? Everywhere. My deletion scripts failed because I mistimed one line of code. My network spoofing crashed because I forgot to update a MAC address. The security footage? I didn't even know that camera corner worked. I wasn't slick. I wasn't smart. I wasn't a mastermind. I was an idiot. They didn't even bother stretching it out. Corporate lawyers are sharks. Mine was a goldfish with glasses. He tried, but the evidence was a mountain, and I was buried under it. 5 years. Possibility of parole in 3. No applause, no drama, no last words. Just judgment. Just betrayal. Just silence. My mom cried in the courtroom. I couldn't even look at her. People think prison is about violence. That's not the worst part. It's the quiet, the waiting, the thoughts that grow teeth. Cedar Ridge wasn't the worst place in the country, but it had an atmosphere like the walls themselves had absorbed every bad thing ever done inside them. My cellmate was Royce Stitch Callan, big dude, tattoos wrapping his arms like vines, deep Louisiana drawl. First night, he looked at me and said, "You snore. I'm breaking your nose." "Cool?" "Yeah," I croaked. "Cool?" He grinned. "No, brother, not cool. Just facts." He wasn't my problem, though. My problem started with the guy 3 cells down, Jonas Reed. He wasn't loud. He wasn't violent. He barely spoke. But every night, around 1:30 or 10, he would whisper. Not to himself. Not to anyone we could see. He whispered like someone was whispering back. First week inside, I barely slept. Lights never seemed to go fully dark, and footsteps echoed like memories. One night, I finally drifted off, only to wake up, gasping, drenched in cold sweat. The dream was too real. I was back in the server room at Northwood. Everything flickered under emergency lights. The door slammed behind me. I turned, and someone was standing in the far corner, half hidden in shadow. "Don't move," they whispered, except their voice wasn't human. I jolted awake, heart hammering. I told myself it was guilt, stress, prison nerves. But then the whispers started. "Hey, hey, Aiden." The sound drifted from the hallway, soft, drawn out. I sat up. "Who's there?" No answer. Royce snored on, completely oblivious. Again. "Aiden, come here." I got up, walked to the bars, and craned my neck. Nothing. Just empty cells, dim hallway lights, complete stillness. Then, soft footsteps behind me. But inside the cell, I spun. No one. My breath caught in my throat. I whispered, "What the hell is going on?" Royce mumbled in his sleep, "Ain't nobody talking to you, man. Go the hell to bed." But someone was. I knew it. Next morning, during chow, I sat across from Officer Talbot, a grumpy, mustached guy with a cowboy attitude. "Who's Jonas?" I asked quietly. Talbot's fork froze halfway to his mouth. He looked around, lowered his voice. "Don't go poking around that one. Man talks to shadows." "What do you mean?" Talbot stared at me, expression tight. Last year, his roommate hung himself. Before that, another inmate cut his wrists. Before that, a guard quit halfway through his shift muttering some crap about voices in the vents. And Jonas was around all of them. That sounds like prison rumors. Talbot leaned in. "Listen, rookie. This place, it holds on to things. People say Jonas ain't whisperin' to anyone in this building." "Then who?" Talbot didn't blink. "Whatever's whisperin' back." A few days later, Jonas approached me in the yard. He walked slow, eyes almost glazed, like he was listening to something only he could hear. He stopped in front of me. "You shouldn't have taken the data," he murmured. My stomach dropped. "How the hell do you know about that?" He blinked once. Slow, mechanical. "They showed me." I swallowed hard. "Who's they?" He smiled, thin, stretched, unnatural. "You'll meet them." And then he walked off. I didn't breathe right for hours. Everything escalated the following week. Lights flickered, doors jammed, whispers echoed through vents. Late one night, I woke to find Royce sitting upright in bed, eyes wide. "You hear that?" he muttered. "What?" He shook his head. "Voices, man. Sound like someone crawling in the damn walls." Before I could answer, a scream tore through the hallway. We leapt to the bars. Down the block, Jonas clawed at his own cell door, shrieking, "Not me, not me. Take him, take him." Officers rushed, tried to hold him down, but Jonas wasn't screaming at them. He was staring directly at me, straight at me. His voice cracked as he yelled. Aiden opened the door. He let them in. My blood turned to ice. Everything changed after that. Jonas was removed from his cell, dragged off kicking and sobbing, but his words stayed. Aiden opened the door. He let them in. I tried to shake it off, tried to tell myself he was insane, but the nightmares got worse. Every night, I dreamed of that hidden server room corner, of that shadowed figure, of a voice whispering, "You stole from us. Now, we'll take from you." Sometimes I woke and saw movement in the cell, a flicker, a shape, a reflection not matching my own. Royce noticed. One morning he said, "You look like hell, man, like something's living in your head." I wished he was wrong. The worst night came without warning. Lights shut off. Backup failed. Total darkness swallowed everything. From the hallway, whispers erupted, layered, overlapping, familiar and unfamiliar voices blending into something that didn't belong in the human world. I froze. Royce pressed himself against the wall, trembling. Man, what the hell is that?" Something moved outside our door. Not footsteps, more like dragging. Then a voice right at the bars. "Aiden." My breath hitched. It wasn't Jonas. It wasn't any inmate. It was the same voice from my nightmares. "Why did you open the door?" My teeth chattered. I didn't know. I didn't know what I was doing. You invited us." The darkness in the hallway shifted, bending, breathing. A silhouette formed, something tall, thin, impossible. I staggered back. Royce screamed, "Who's there? Show yourself." It did, but only I saw it clearly. A shape made of static and shadow, a glitching outline, like a corrupted file trying to stabilize. And inside it faces, multiple, shifting, leaking through. Faces I recognized. Liam Harker, my boss, security officers, people whose data I had stolen, their eyes hollow, mouths open in silent accusation. "Aiden," the thing whispered, "you broke the boundary, and now it's your turn." I fell to my knees, sobbing, shaking, begging. "I'm sorry. Please, I'm sorry." The thing leaned close, its breath cold enough to numb my cheek. Regret comes too late. Then everything went black. I woke up in the infirmary. Nurse Jones hovered over me, adjusting an IV. What happened?" I croaked. "You collapsed," she said. "Seizure, high fever. You were hallucinating, screaming your lungs out." Hallucinating. Right. Except, Royce wouldn't look at me afterward. When he finally did, hours later, he whispered, "I saw something, man. I ain't sleeping in that cell no more." They separated us immediately. So now I'm here, writing this down. Not for sympathy, not for redemption, but because the whispers didn't stop. They followed me. Even now, in the quiet, I hear them in the vents, in the pipes, in the cracks of the walls. Aiden, time is almost up. I don't know what waits for me after parole, if I even make it that far. But I know this. Ambition didn't destroy me. Greed didn't destroy me. I destroyed myself. By opening a door I never should have touched. By allowing something in, something that belonged on the other side of the digital world. If you're reading this, don't make my mistake. Some vulnerabilities aren't meant to be exploited. Some doors aren't meant to be opened. Some data isn't meant to be touched. And some shadows don't stay in the dark. They come looking, especially for people like me. I never imagined that one stupid decision at the end of a long night would change my life forever. If you'd asked me 2 years ago whether I believed in anything supernatural, I would have laughed in your face. Back then, I was just a burnt-out auto parts salesman from Haverhill, Pennsylvania, a guy who cared more about hitting monthly quotas than sleeping properly. I worked long weeks and longer weekends, sometimes pushing 12-hour days because my boss, Gerard Lang, had this obsession with calling us the backbone of the region, whatever that meant. It was late November, freezing enough that every breath turned to white fog. Gerard invited our whole team to his anniversary party, 25 years of marriage, which would have been great if I wasn't drowning in stress and exhaustion. But you don't tell your boss no when he calls you personally and says, "Come on, kid, you gotta show up. It won't be the same without you." So I went. His house in Northwood Grove was packed, warm lights, barbecue smell in the air, classic rock playing, co-workers laughing like tomorrow's bills didn't exist. At some point around midnight, Gerard pulled me aside and said, "You gotta relax more, Ezra. You look like you're carrying the damn world on your back." I gave a half laugh. "Yeah, well, world's heavy, I guess. Not tonight, it ain't." He chuckled and handed me a bottle of Golden Crest champagne, some local brand I'd never seen. "Take this home with you. On the house. That bottle, if I'd known what it would be used for later, I wouldn't have accepted it." Leaving the party. By 2:40 a.m., I finally convinced myself to drive home. My head felt warm from the drinks. But I wasn't drunk, just slow, tired, and emotionally drained. My apartment complex, Brookline Towers, looked dead quiet when I arrived. The main parking lot was, as usual, filled to the brim. I muttered, "Great, of course," and remembered the overflow garage we almost never used. Dark, cold, no cameras. Residents whispered about break-ins, loitering, strange sounds. I avoided it for a whole year but had no choice now. Walking into the garage, I parked near the back, killed the engine, and grabbed the champagne bottle because I was too tired to leave it behind. The garage felt colder than outside concrete, echoing, silent. As I walked toward the stairwell, I heard it, a low, shaky moan. I stopped. "Yo, hello, somebody there?" Nothing. Just the hum of the exit lights. I kept walking, but then it came again, closer this time, like someone trying not to cry. My heart thumped hard. I scanned under cars, behind pillars, between parked sedans. That's when I saw him. A guy maybe late 20s dragging himself from underneath an SUV. His clothes dirty, jacket ripped, face pale with pain. "Help me," he gasped. "Please, man, please help." I stepped back in shock. "Holy shit, dude. What happened to you?" He coughed, gripping his abdomen. "Some psycho chased me. He had a knife. He tried to kill me." My stomach twisted. The fear in his eyes looked real raw. I crouched. "Okay, listen. I'm gonna get you out of here. Just stay with me, all right?" He nodded weakly. I put an arm under him to lift him. Then I heard footsteps from the stairwell. Heavy. Rushed. Angry. The knife man appears. A giant man, maybe 6'3", wearing a dirty flannel, came down the stairwell with a hunting knife dripping blood. His eyes were wild, pupils blown wide, like he wasn't fully human in that moment. "There you are," he growled. "Thought you could crawl away, you little rat?" I froze. The wounded man whispered, terrified, "That's him." The knife man pointed the blade at us. "Move, and I'll gut both of you." I raised my hand slowly. Hey man, chill. Nobody's doing anything. We just want to go home." He laughed, twisted and wrong. "Home? Nah. Only one place you're going tonight." His voice echoed through the empty garage, bouncing off concrete like an omen. I swallowed. "Look, dude, you don't want to do this, don't I?" He started walking toward us. "Oh, I really think I do." Instinct takes over. He lunged toward the wounded guy. Without thinking, I shoved him hard. Hard enough that he stumbled. But instead of backing off, he turned to me with a grin so cold it made my stomach flip. You want to play hero, huh?" Before I could answer, he grabbed my jacket and slammed me against a pillar. The knife flashed. I yelled, trying to push him away, and he sliced my palm wide open. Blood ran down my wrist instantly. "Shit!" I screamed. The wounded man collapsed again, unable to get up. The knife man shoved me, lifted the blade, and whispered, "You first." The moment everything changed. Just as he swung the knife, he froze. Completely. His eyes widened, his jaw locked. His body stiffened like he'd seen something behind me, something terrifying. I turned, heart pounding, but nothing was there. Just darkness. What the hell are you looking at?" I gasped. But he wasn't looking at anything. He was looking through something. Then, with the same locked, horrified expression, he slowly raised the knife and stabbed himself. Once, twice, over and over, silent, face frozen in terror. His body jerked with each blow, but he didn't scream. He didn't blink. He didn't show pain. Finally, he dragged the blade across his throat. Blood splattered the concrete. His eyes never moved from that empty space behind me. I stood frozen, breath shaking so hard I tasted metal in my mouth. The wounded guy whispered, voice broken, "Dude, what the hell just happened?" I had no answer. The security guard arrives. Footsteps echoed, a security guard sprinting toward us. He saw the blood, the corpse, the wounded man, my slashed hand. "What in God's name? You two okay?" I broke down, then shock hitting me like a truck. "He tried to kill us, he just... The guard called 911 immediately. Within minutes, EMTs arrived and rushed us to the hospital. Police followed. At first, cops looked at us like we did something. But after watching the security footage, everything changed. The camera showed the wounded man crawling, me taking him by the arm, the knife man rushing in, me trying to defend, the knife man freezing mid-attack, then repeatedly stabbing himself, and collapsing. No one else was visible. No shadow, no movement, no trick of light. Something invisible made him stop. Something he saw, but we couldn't. Later, police told me the man was a drifter named Hoyt Walker. No history of violence, no threats, no prior arrests. The night of the incident, they found traces of meth and PCP in his blood, but the examiner said, even under influence, this type of self-inflicted attack pattern makes absolutely no sense. They asked me if I saw anything. I said no, because if I said yes, I wasn't sure they'd let me go home. My hand needed 12 stitches. The wounded guy, his name was Reyes Milton, survived after surgery, but both of us suffered nightmares for months. For weeks, I couldn't sleep without hearing that stab, that wet, sickening sound, and seeing Hoyt's eyes staring into nothing. I moved out of Brookline Towers, didn't even finish my lease. I didn't care about losing the deposit. Even now, when I walk through a parking garage at night, I swear I feel cold air behind me, like something is standing there, invisible, watching. Something Hoyt saw in his last seconds. Something I think followed us out that night. Something waiting. Every time I turn off the lights in my new apartment, I whisper to myself, please, don't be here, because I'm terrified that one night, I'll turn around and finally see what he saw. I never believed in warning signs. People talk about intuition like it's some magical little voice that whispers, hey, something's off, don't go there. But me, I ignored every single one. Maybe because I grew up in a town where bad things weren't supposed to happen. Or maybe because I thought I was too smart, too careful, too aware. Turns out, I wasn't. I learned the hard way that the scariest monsters don't come from the woods or nightmares. They come disguised as familiar shadows, as ordinary people you walk past every day, the ones blending into the crowd like background noise. And sometimes they're already watching long before you ever notice. My name is Harlow Pierce. I'm 19 years old now, but this happened when I was 16, a time when my biggest worry should have been algebra, homework, or whether my crush liked me back, not survival. This is my story, my confession, and the truth is, I'm still not sure I ever fully escaped it. I grew up in Red Thorn, Missouri, one of those towns where people still say things like, how's your mama? And wave at cars passing by even if they don't know who's inside. We had one high school, one diner, one grocery store, and a carnival that came every summer but honestly looked too run down to trust half the rides. I lived with my mom, Lydia, and my little brother Noah, who at the time was 10 and obsessed with football even though he was barely big enough to lift the helmet. My mom worked double shifts at the hospital, which meant I spent a lot of evenings alone. I didn't mind. I liked the quiet, or at least, I used to. My best friend was Avery Lake, who lived 3 houses down. We'd been inseparable since kindergarten, even though we were completely opposite. She was loud, impulsive, a little bit wild. I was the quiet one, more comfortable with books and grilled cheese sandwiches than parties and drama. But we balanced each other out. And for the longest time, our biggest adventure was sneaking into an old barn on the edge of town to look for the stray kittens that lived there. Life was simple, predictable, safe, or so I thought. It all started the night the carnival came to town. Not the big fancy ones with real rides and safety checks. This one was the sketchy traveling kind with peeling paint, flickering lights, and carnies who looked like they hadn't slept since the early 90 seconds. But everyone in Redthorn went anyway because, honestly, there wasn't much else to do. "Come on, Harlow, it'll be fun." "Don't be a grandma," Avery said, pulling my arm as we walked toward the entrance. "Live a little." "I live plenty," I muttered. "Just not on things held together with duct tape." She rolled her eyes. "You're so dramatic. The Ferris wheel hasn't killed anyone in, like, 2 years. That's not comforting, Avenue." She just laughed and tugged me forward. The carnival was buzzing, neon lights flashing, people shouting, fried dough smells drifting everywhere. Kids ran past us holding glow sticks. Parents tried to keep up. Teens clustered in groups showing off for each other. Typical small-town summer chaos. I should have felt excited, but something felt off. I told myself I was overthinking. I told myself to relax. But even then, before anything happened, the back of my neck felt prickly, like someone was staring at me. I brushed it off. Avery bought us cotton candy and dragged me from ride to ride while yelling things like, "Woo, let's go," as if she were at a rock concert instead of sitting in a rusty metal seat. I remember laughing so hard at one point that my stomach hurt. And then, everything changed. It happened so fast. Avery spotted a guy she liked standing near the ring toss booth. She elbowed me. "I'm gonna say hi real quick. Stay right here, okay?" "Okay, but don't leave me forever." She winked. 5 minutes tops. 10 minutes passed. Then 15. I wasn't worried at first. She had a habit of wandering off. But the crowd felt thicker now. Louder. Overwhelming. People kept brushing past me. The lights felt too bright. My head started buzzing. That's when I heard a voice behind me. "You lost?" I turned around. A guy about 18 or 19 stood there tall, lean, wearing a faded denim jacket. His brown hair fell over one eye in a way that seemed almost intentional. His name, though I didn't know it then, was Rhett Caldwell. Something about him made my stomach tighten. Not because he was cute, not because he was intimidating, but because his eyes didn't match his smile. He was smiling like he was trying to look friendly, but his eyes were cold, completely empty. I swallowed. No, I'm waiting for someone." He tilted his head slightly. "You sure?" "Yeah, I'm good." He stepped closer. Too close. "You shouldn't be out here alone," he said. "Not safe for girls." I forced a smile. "I'll be fine. Thanks." He stared at me for a few more seconds, longer than any stranger ever should, then walked off slowly. Like he wasn't really leaving. Like he was waiting. Watching. I rubbed my arms, suddenly cold. Avery finally returned 10 minutes later, apologizing like crazy. Sorry. He asked for my number. And holy crap, you look like you saw a ghost." "I'm fine." But I didn't feel fine. I couldn't shake the feeling that something bad was coming. We stayed at the carnival later than planned. Around 10:30 p.m., Avery said she wanted to go to the bathroom before heading home. "Wait with me," she said. "I'll just stand outside." She nodded and ran inside one of those awful portable bathrooms. I waited and waited. Then I heard her scream. I jumped so hard the cotton candy I was holding fell to the dirt. "Avery?" I rushed to the door and yanked it open, only to find her glaring at me. "What the hell, Harlow?" I dropped my phone in the toilet. I nearly hit her. "Are you serious?" "Sorry, my bad," she said, pulling her hair into a bun. We laughed it off, but the adrenaline left me shaking. We started walking toward the exit when I heard someone behind us. Footsteps. Slow. Purposeful. I turned. It was him. Rhett. Standing under a flickering light, staring at me like he'd been waiting. Avery whispered, "Dude, do you know that guy?" "No," I whispered back, "but he talked to me earlier." She stiffened. "Let's go." We sped up, but so did he. Then he smiled. "Night, ladies." I didn't reply. Didn't breathe. He walked past us and disappeared into the crowd. I felt sick. Avery nudged me. "He's probably just being weird. Ignore him." "I don't think he's just weird." She didn't argue. We went home together and ended up crashing in my room because we were both too tired to deal with anything else. I wish that had been the end of it, but it was only the beginning. 2 days later, Avery didn't show up to school. Not like her at all. She always texted, always Snapchatted, always posted something on Instagram, even if it was dumb. Nothing. By lunch, I was worried enough to tell my teacher. Nobody had heard from her. At 4 p.m., I walked to her house and knocked. No answer. The house was quiet. Too quiet. I texted her, "Where are you? Call me. This isn't funny." Nothing. I turned to leave, and noticed the side gate was slightly open. Her parents never left it open. My heart dropped. I stepped closer and pushed it with my finger. It creaked loudly. Inside the yard, something was on the ground. A shoe. Her shoe. I felt like I was going to pass out. "Avery." My voice cracked. "Avery, please, this isn't, please answer." Silence. I called 911 because my body was shaking so badly I couldn't think straight. Police came. Tape went up. Questions were asked. But the worst part? One of the officers said something I still can't forget. Last time someone went missing after that carnival, we didn't find them alive. It was real now. Not a game. Not paranoia. My best friend was gone. And the guy from the carnival? He kept appearing around town. Always where I happened to be. Walking behind me at the grocery store. Standing across the street from my house. Leaning against a lamppost near my school. Never saying anything. Just watching. I started losing sleep. Stopped eating. Jumped at every noise. Mom noticed. "How long have you been this scared, baby?" she asked one night, brushing my hair back. "I don't know," I whispered. Since that night, she hugged me and said she'd put in extra security on the house. Cameras, stronger locks, motion lights. But safety, I learned, isn't always real. Sometimes it's just something you tell yourself to fall asleep. It was a Friday night. Mom was working the overnight shift. Noah was already asleep. I was in my room doing homework, music playing softly. Window cracked a little. At 1:14 a.m., I heard something. A crunch. Like someone stepped on leaves outside my window. I froze. Listened. Another crunch. Closer this time. My breath caught. I turned off the music slowly. Then I heard a whisper through the screen. "Harlow." I flew backwards, slamming into my dresser. No. 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 I crawled toward the door, shaking so hard my teeth were chattering. Then I heard the window lock snap. He was opening it. I screamed and ran, grabbing Noah from bed and locking us both in my mom's bathroom. He banged on the door. First soft, then harder, then furious. "Come on," he sang. "Don't make this difficult." Noah sobbed into my shoulder. "Who is that? Why's he here?" "I don't know." I lied. I knew. I knew exactly who. He kicked the door. "Open it." Another kick. "You think I didn't watch you? Think I didn't follow you?" I held Noah tight, my entire body shaking. Sirens came in the distance. He muttered, "You're lucky," then ran. Police found muddy footprints under my window, the screen slashed open, and a pocket knife on the grass. Guess whose fingerprints were on it? Rhett Caldwell. He was arrested. For one night, one They released him the next morning because they said there wasn't enough evidence. The rage I felt could have burned a hole through the world. But the terror was worse, because if he came back once, I knew he'd come back again. 3 days later, I got a call. I was at home, sitting on my bed with my knees pulled up to my chest, staring at the carpet like it could somehow predict the future. The phone rang. Hello? Harlow. This is Detective Briggs. I think you should sit down. My stomach turned to liquid. They found Avery, but not alive. She'd been taken, held somewhere. And what happened to her? I can't say. But it was worse than anything I'd ever imagined. The world grew smaller, colder, meaner. I cried until my throat hurt. My chest felt like it was being ripped apart. I screamed into my pillow so hard my voice didn't come back for days. She didn't deserve that. She was just a kid. Just a person who trusted the wrong place at the wrong time. And I knew. I was next. The night everything ended started out weirdly quiet. Mom was home for once. Noah was asleep early. The house felt heavy, like the walls knew something I didn't. At around 11:20 p.m., my mom asked if I wanted some hot chocolate. I nodded and followed her to the kitchen. While she was heating the pot, our porch light flickered, then went off. "Damn bulb," she muttered. But my blood went cold. Motion lights don't flicker. They turn off only when someone steps out of range, or destroys them. I whisper shouted, "Mom, don't move." She turned. "Harlow, what's wrong?" I pointed at the window. A shadow moved across the yard. Slow, silent, deliberate. Mom grabbed her phone. "Call 911, now." I dialed. Before the operator even said hello, glass shattered in the living room. My mom screamed, "Get Noah, go." I ran, but halfway down the hall, a hand clamped over my mouth. My world flipped. He dragged me backward, into the living room. Broken glass everywhere, moonlight spilling in from the shattered window. Rhett's face was inches from mine. "Did you miss me?" he whispered. I tried to scream. He squeezed harder. "You made this real difficult, sweetheart. But that's okay. I like a challenge." Suddenly, my mom charged at him with a baseball bat. She slammed it into his shoulder with such force the crack echoed. He roared and shoved me aside. They fought, my mom swinging, him blocking, both slipping on glass. I screamed, "Stop, Mom!" He grabbed the bat and threw her into the coffee table. She hit the ground hard. "No." I lunged toward her, but he grabbed my hair and yanked me back. "You're coming with me," he hissed. "Like hell she is." A voice at the doorway. My neighbor, Mr. Hawkins, the retired firefighter who lived across the street, stood there holding a shotgun. "Let her go, boy," he said. Rhett froze. "You take one step," Hawkins warned, "and I'll blow your damn kneecap off." Rhett dropped me. Sirens wailed outside. Red lights flashed through the broken windows. Police stormed in and tackled him to the ground. He fought like an animal, screaming my name, screaming Avery's name, screaming things that made my skin crawl. But it was over. Finally. Really over. He was sentenced. Locked away. Gone. But trauma doesn't leave when the handcuffs click. For months, I didn't sleep. Didn't go outside. Didn't trust anyone. Every noise made me jump. Every shadow looked like him. Therapy helped. Time helped. But fear stays. Avery's mom still cries when she sees me. I don't blame her. I survived. Her daughter didn't. Sometimes I wonder why. Why me? Why not both of us? But then I remember something Avery used to say whenever we talked about scary movies. "If anything ever happens, we're sticking together. Okay? We go home together. No one gets left behind." She didn't leave me behind. I left her at the carnival when she went to talk to that boy. And I'll always feel like I failed her somehow. But this story, my confession, is the only way I know how to keep her memory alive, and maybe warn someone else. Because monsters still exist, and sometimes they're already watching you before you even know their name. I never imagined I'd be the kind of guy who would sit down years later and confess something like this. If you had asked anyone who knew me back then, They would have said I was the most responsible, level-headed member of our group, the one who always volunteered to drive because I never drank too much, because I never sped, because I always looked out for everybody. But what happened on the road to Ashbury Reef changed everything I thought I knew about myself, about life, about the way guilt can attach itself to your bones like some living thing. My name is Levi Grant, and this happened when I was 29, summer of 2014, 2 years after my father died and 7 months after I'd finally crawled out of a long depression. I had just switched jobs from warehouse night shifts to a small auto parts shop in Midland Ridge, Tennessee. It wasn't glamorous, but it grounded me, and I needed grounding. The trip was supposed to be our reset, a long overdue getaway before the chaos of adulthood drowned us completely. There were 4 of us: Levi, grant me; Hollis, my childhood best friend, big personality, wild laugh; Raina, Hollis's girlfriend, sharp-witted, sarcastic, scary smart; Kellen, my coworker, new to our circle, quiet but observant. We were driving toward Ashbury Reef, a small fishing town near the southern coast of Virginia. Not many people knew about it. The locals almost preferred it that way. I needed the trip, badly. My therapist had told me that grief doesn't just disappear. It hides. It mutates. Sometimes, she said, it waits for the right trigger before coming back even stronger. I didn't believe her at the time, but I believe her now. We left Midland Ridge at 6:30 a.m. My old charcoal gray Tahoe was packed with coolers, fishing rods, camping gear, speakers, and enough snacks to feed a small army. I remember Hollis slapping the roof of the truck and saying, "Boys, this is gonna be legendary. Ashbury Reef won't know what hit him." Raina rolled her eyes. "Can you not be such a tourist for once? Last time you said that, we got kicked out of a lodge." Kellen snorted. "Wait, y'all got kicked out? For what?" Hollis grinned proudly. "For being awesome." "It was for throwing popcorn at the mounted moose head," Raina corrected. "That moose had it coming," Hollis argued. The laughter filled the truck as I pulled out of my driveway. And for a moment, God, I remember this so clearly I felt like myself again. Like the heavy fog around me had loosened and sunlight was finally breaking through. The road was long, cutting through dense patches of pine forest and rolling hills. The farther we got from town, the better I breathed. But looking back, I realized the isolation should have been a warning. Places that untouched aren't untouched for no reason. We drove for hours. The conversations drifted from music to childhood crushes to the best gas station food in the South. They teased me for always picking sunflower seeds and peach tea. "Levi, you've been eating that same combo since 7th grade," Raina said. "It still slaps," I argued. "Slaps?" Hollis repeated with a grin. "My man suddenly thinks he's Gen Z." Even Kellen laughed. "You're old, dude. Accept it." I raised a middle finger without taking my eyes off the road. "Whatever. I'm still driving all you freeloaders." More laughter. More warmth. It should have been the perfect day. But then something shifted. It was subtle at first, just a heaviness in my chest. A sudden cold that didn't match the temperature. I remember gripping the steering wheel tighter, my knuckles whitening. "You good, man?" Kellen asked quietly from the passenger seat. Yeah, I'm fine." But I wasn't. Something in the air felt wrong, like the atmosphere itself had thickened. And then came the fog. It rolled in around 2 p.m., thick, gray, almost metallic looking. It swallowed the pines and dimmed the sunlight until everything looked washed out. "Damn," Hollis muttered. "Where the hell did this come from?" Raina shivered. "This doesn't look normal." Kellen leaned forward, squinting. "Slow down a bit. That drop-off on the right lane looks steep." I eased off the gas. The silence in the car changed. It wasn't fun anymore. It wasn't relaxed. Everyone was tense. No one said it. But we were all thinking the same thing. Something about that fog felt wrong. "I don't like this," Raina whispered. "It feels like..." Before she could finish, something ran across the road. A blur. Small. Fast. Directly in front of us. "Kid!" Hollis shouted. I jerked the wheel. Hard. The world tilted tires screaming, gravity shifting. And then, Thud. A sound I will never forget. My heart dropped. My stomach twisted. I slammed the brakes so hard everyone lurched forward. The truck skidded, fishtailed, and finally stopped sideways on the road. Silence. A silence that didn't feel empty. It felt full, like something ancient was listening. Raina was the first to speak. "Levi, tell me we didn't just hit a kid." But I couldn't answer, because deep down, I already knew the truth. I opened the door slowly. My legs felt like wet cement. The fog clung to everything. To my skin, to the trees, to my lungs. And there, lying near the white line, was a small boy. Red hair, pale skin, dirty clothes, maybe 8 or 9. He wasn't moving. "Oh my God," Raina whispered behind me. Hollis covered his mouth. "Jesus Christ." I dropped to my knees beside the kid. My hands shook violently. "Kellen, call 911, I said, voice barely forming the words. "No signal," he replied, checking his phone again. "Damn it, there's nothing. Try again," I demanded. "Levi, look," Raina whispered, pointing, and my blood ran cold. The boy's eyes were open, wide open, staring at the sky without blinking. "No, no, no," I whispered, touching his neck, feeling for a pulse. "Come on, kid. Come on." No rhythm, no warmth, no life. Something inside me broke. "I killed him," I said. "Oh God, I killed him." "Levi, buddy, stop," Hollis said, kneeling beside me. "It was an accident. He ran out of nowhere. I shouldn't have been driving." "Don't you say that," Hollis snapped, grabbing my shoulders. "Don't you dare." But then, a branch snapped. Not a small twig, a heavy branch. We all turned toward the sound, and standing there barely 10 feet away, through the fog, was a man, an older man, tall, with a long, faded coat, gray beard, blank stare, and in his right hand, he held a splitting maul. Not a normal axe, a heavy one, the kind used to break logs apart. Raina gasped. "What the hell?" The man didn't speak. He just started walking toward us. Step, 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 slow, steady, purposeful. "Sir, we need help," Kellen said, raising his hand slightly. "There's a kid hurt, we hit him, can you call someone?" The man didn't react, didn't change expression, didn't slow down. He stopped only when he reached the boy's body. Then he looked at me, right through me, with this cold, hateful emptiness. "He told you not to run out here no more," the man muttered to the kid. "Didn't he? Didn't he?" My breath caught in my chest. "Sir, please, we didn't mean..." Before I could finish, he lifted the axe, and everything inside me screamed. "Back up," Hollis yelled, grabbing my arm and yanking me backward. The old man swung the maul downward. I swear on everything, it should have hit the boy, but the blade passed straight through him, as if the boy wasn't even there, as if he was not solid, not alive, not real. "What the holy shit?" Kellen shouted. The man didn't react. He just lifted the axe again. Raina screamed, "Run!" We scattered, blindly, desperately. I sprinted toward the truck, lungs burning, heart pounding. The old man turned toward me next, eyes now filled with something wild, something manic. "Shouldn't be on this road," he growled. "Ain't for you, ain't for nobody." He took a step toward me, then another, and I swear his feet didn't make sound on the pavement. I dove into the Tahoe and slammed the lock button. The others were scrambling in behind me. Hollis next, then Raina. Kellen wasn't inside yet. "Where's Kellen?" I yelled. "I don't see him," Raina began, and then we heard him scream. His scream wasn't a normal scream. It was short, cut off halfway, like someone snatched it out of the air. "Kellen!" Hollis shouted. I looked through the fogged rear window, but there was nothing. No movement, no shape, no sign of the old man, no sign of Kellen. "What do we do?" Raina cried. "We can't leave him, Levi, we can't." I grabbed the door handle. "I'm going out there." "No, you're not," Hollis said, grabbing my arm. Levi, look at me. If you go out there, we lose you too. But we can't help him if we're dead, Hollis yelled. And then, as if mocking us, a shape moved in front of the truck. But it wasn't the old man. It was the boy, standing, alive, breathing, blinking, just standing. I felt my entire body go cold. Levi, Raina whispered. He's alive. No, he wasn't, I said, backing away from the windshield. I checked, there was no pulse, The boy tilted his head. Then he smiled. A slow, unnatural smile. Y'all shouldn't be on this road, he said softly. And then, he wasn't smiling anymore. He was laughing. A sound that didn't match his face, or his age, or anything human. And then, he vanished. Not stepped away. Not walked. Not turned. Vanished. The air where he stood rippled like heat. Raina sobbed. Oh God, Levi, drive. So I did. I slammed the truck into reverse. Tires screeching. Heart racing. Mind breaking. And that's when we saw her. A woman. Standing in the middle of the road. Hair wet. Dress torn. Arms hanging limply. And she whispered, "You hit my son." I slammed the brakes again. The truck fishtailed, and we came to a stop just inches from her. She didn't move, didn't blink, didn't step back. She just stared at us. Her voice was low, shaky, and filled with a hatred I could feel in my bones. "You hit my boy," Hollis whispered. "Levi, just go. Go around her. I don't think she's..." Raina began, but the woman spoke again. "You can't leave. He won't let you." And then, she lifted her left hand. It wasn't a hand anymore. The fingers were elongated, twisted, blackened like charred wood. "Oh, hell no," Hollis muttered. I didn't wait. I swerved left, gunning the engine, and we tore past her so fast the fog parted behind us. When I checked the mirror, she was gone. Just like the boy. Just like the old man. "We need a town. We need a ranger station. We need anyone," Raina kept saying, voice cracking. "There was a sign earlier," Hollis said. "Turn off for Ashbury Ridge Crossing. Maybe there's a house or something." I nodded. Anything was better than that road. So I took the next right. The fog thinned. The trees grew denser. The road narrowed to gravel. 5 minutes passed. 10. 15. No houses. No signs. Not even tire tracks from other vehicles. Then the gaslight blinked on. "You've got to be kidding me," I whispered. "I filled up before we left. This can't be right." "It's burning faster because of uphill roads," Hollis said. "Or maybe hell, I don't know." We pushed on. Another few minutes passed. And then we saw something. A house. An old, sagging farmhouse with a leaning porch, broken shutters, and a rusted windmill squeaking in the breeze. Finally, Raina exhaled shakily. Just go. Maybe someone." "We're not splitting up," Hollis warned. "We all go together." I parked. The moment the engine shut off, the forest felt too quiet, like the world was holding its breath. We approached the house slowly. Every creak of the porch sounded like a scream. "Kellen might be here," Hollis whispered. "Maybe he ran this way. Or someone dragged him," Raina added before clapping a hand over her mouth as if the words were too dangerous to say. I swallowed the lump in my throat and knocked. No answer. I knocked again. Still nothing. "Try the door," Hollis said. So I did. It opened. Not with a groan. Not with force. It opened smoothly, like someone had just walked in. The inside smelled like mold, old wood, and something metallic. "Hello?" I called. "We need help. Our friend is missing. We're lost. Hello?" No reply. But then, something moved in the hallway. Something small. Something fast. "Did you see?" Raina whispered. "Yes," I said. "Stay behind me." We stepped inside. The living room was old, decades old. Old furniture, sheet-covered chairs, cracked wallpaper, dust everywhere. Except, 2 things were out of place. The dust near the hallway was disturbed footprints. A steaming mug of coffee sat on a table. "Oh, hell no," Hollis muttered. "Someone's here." Then, footsteps upstairs. Slow, dragging. I clenched my jaw. "Kellen?" I shouted. "Is that you?" Silence. Then a whisper. "Up here." We climbed the staircase together, each step creaking so loudly it felt like a warning. The hallway upstairs was darker, colder. The fog seemed to seep through the cracks in the walls. "Where are you?" Hollis called. "Here." The voice came again, softer now, almost childlike. We followed it to the last door on the right, the one slightly cracked open, the one with light flickering underneath. My heartbeat was the only thing I could hear. I pushed the door open, and what we saw didn't belong in this world. Kellen was sitting on the floor, facing the corner, back shaking. "Kellen!" Raina cried, rushing forward. Hollis grabbed her arm. "No, wait, something's wrong." He was right. Kellen wasn't crying. He was laughing. This low, broken laugh. "Kellen, buddy," I said softly, stepping forward. "Look at me." He stopped laughing. Slowly, so slowly. He turned his head. His eyes were wide, red, bloodshot, terrified. "Levi," he whispered. "He's not done with you." And then, the closet door behind him creaked open. A small hand emerged, then another, then a face. The boy. Same red hair, same empty eyes. But now, he was smiling again. Only, his mouth was too wide, much too wide. "You hit me," he said softly. "Now I get to keep something." Before we could react, the boy grabbed Kellen by the neck, and the room exploded into screams. Everything after that happened, fast, too fast. Kellen screamed, choking, clawing at his throat. Hollis lunged forward, but the closet slammed shut, by itself. "Kellen!" Hollis yelled, pounding on the door. Raina sobbed uncontrollably. "Oh God, Levi, we have to do something." I kicked the closet door so hard my foot felt like it cracked. Nothing. Then the boy's voice echoed from inside. "Mine now." And then silence. No breathing. No struggle. No sound. Nothing. Hollis slowly turned to me, eyes filled with a kind of pain I'd never seen before. "We're leaving," he whispered. We bolted down the stairs, out the house, back to the truck, and the fog outside was now thicker than ever. I jammed the keys into the ignition. The engine roared to life, but as soon as I hit the headlights, we froze, because standing in front of the Tahoe, just 10 feet away, were 3 figures: the boy, the woman, and the old man with the axe, all staring, all smiling. "Go," Hollis whispered. Go. So I floored it. The truck lunged forward, through them, through the fog, and I swear, as we passed them, the boy whispered inside my ear, "You can't leave. You know how horror movies show roads looping endlessly? Yeah, that's not fiction." We drove straight for 15 minutes. Then we saw it. The same house, same leaning porch, same broken shutters, same rusted windmill. Raina sobbed. "No, no, no, no. We went straight. Levi, we went straight." "We're not stopping," Hollis said. "Just go, don't slow down." We passed the house, drove faster, faster, until the Tahoe shook. 5 minutes later, the house again. I screamed in frustration, slamming my hands against the wheel. "We're stuck," I yelled. "We're actually stuck. This can't be happening." Then, a voice, from the back seat, a soft whisper. "I told you." We turned. Kellen was sitting there, in the middle seat, head tilted, eyes wrong, neck bruised dark purple where fingers had dug in. "'Kay, Kellen," Raina whispered. He smiled, but it wasn't Kellen's smile. Not anymore. "He wants the driver now." I slammed on the brakes. The truck fishtailed again. Kellen laughed, but the sound was layered, like multiple voices speaking through one throat. The boy's laughter, the woman's sobbing, the old man's growl. All mixed. All wrong. You hit me, he whispered. Now it's your turn. Hollis grabbed my arm. Levi, drive. No, Raina said suddenly, wiping her tears. He's right. This ends with Levi. It started with Levi. He has to face it. But I began. It's confession, she said softly. That's what this is. That's why we're stuck. She was right. I don't know how she knew, but she was right. So I opened the door, stepped out, and walked into the fog. Alone. The others screamed for me, begged me to come back, but I kept walking until the boy appeared in front of me again. You ready? He asked. I nodded. I'm sorry, I whispered. I never meant. The boy tilted his head. It wasn't you. I froze. What? It wasn't you, he repeated. You didn't kill me. My breath caught. What are you talking about? I hit you. I felt the impact. I saw you. You saw what he wanted you to see, the boy whispered. You didn't kill me. I shook my head. I don't understand. Someone stepped out of the fog behind him. The old man. But now, he looked different. Not hateful, not angry. Just sad. He killed me, the boy said, pointing at the old man. Not you. The old man's voice cracked as he spoke. I didn't mean to. I was drunk. I never meant. The woman stepped out behind him, her face softer now, tears in her eyes. He was our son, she said. And you weren't meant to see us, but he sensed your guilt, and he thought maybe. I was shaking. But why us? Why now? The boy smiled sadly. Because you were the only one who stopped, the only one who cared. The fog brightened. Just a little. You can go now, the woman whispered. But don't forget us. And then, they disappeared. The fog thinned. The forest brightened. My friends' voices echoed behind me. Levy. Hurry. Come back. I turned. The Tahoe was there. Normal. Real. Hollis ran to me first and grabbed me in a bear hug. Man, holy hell, don't ever do that again. Raina was crying. You scared us. Kellen wasn't there. Not our Kellen. Just absence. We never found him. We reported him missing. Search teams combed the woods. Drones. Dogs. Everything. Nothing. It was like he was never there. But I knew better. Some roads take things. Some roads keep things. And that road kept Kellen. It's been 10 years. I still see the boy sometimes. In dreams. In reflections. In corners of my eyes. Not haunting me. Not hurting me. Just watching. As if making sure I don't forget. And I don't. I couldn't. Because sometimes, late at night, when everything is quiet, I hear someone whisper from the back seat of my truck. You didn't kill me. Followed by another whisper. But he took your friend. I don't know why I survived. Why we did. Or why Kellen didn't. All I know is this. If you're ever driving near Ashbury Reef, and the fog rolls in fast, turn around. Don't try to push through. Don't be brave. Don't be curious. Because that road isn't empty. And some souls out there aren't done looking for company.